Hello, today we're going to make some really cute keychains. They're going to be Christmas themed and I'm using wrapping paper. So I did an experiment and I wanted to see what would happen if I used wrapping paper and resin, and they turned out so cute. I'm excited for you to see. So first I'm taking some mica powder and I'm brushing it, and that's going to be the background of our keychain. I used some red and some green and I'm just brushing them around to fill up the entire background. And I'm just using a little bit and kind of knocking the mica powder off so there's barely any on my brush. And just brush it all around. If you do happen to have some extra looking little clots of mica powder, go ahead and just blow those off of it, and that way you're not going to have that rise in your resin. And I didn't speed any of this video up. That way you could see actually in real time how fast you can do this. So you can do see how along the edges it has some mica powder? You can do that if you want to and brush it all along, or you can leave some of that without any. That's fine. You could add glitter to this too if you want, but I didn't do that for this project. But the options are endless. You could do whatever color mica powder you want, any type of wrapping paper you want. I had this cute red wrapping paper that had little Christmas ornaments on it, and it worked perfectly with this project. I loved it. But you could do, think of all the wrapping papers they have out there. There's so many options. So we're using UV resin for this project. However, in the future, I would use epoxy resin for keychains, like any larger thing like this, just because it uses less money of your resin, because you can do a lot more of these with epoxy resin, and UV resin's more expensive in little doses. So make sure your UV resin is just a thin layer and move it around the bottom. Remember, with a UV resin, you're going to need a UV light, so you'll need a UV light for this if you're using it. Go ahead and pop your bubbles. You can use a toothpick to bring those bubbles to the top, and that way they'll pop easier. If they're on the bottom, they're not going to pop for you. So see how you can just bring that up to the top and then use your lighter again to pop them. Toothpicks are a great tool to use when you're using resin. And then pop those. And then I am doing an experiment with this because this is the first time I've ever used wrapping paper and resin. So for one of them, I decided to go ahead and put it in while the resin was wet. See how cute this wrapping paper is? And for the other two, I decided to do to cure it first and then put it on top, and then I'll show you. So we have that resin, that wrapping paper is stuck in the resin. Now this right here is already hardened. There's a little piece here I had to cut off to make it look decent. So I just really cut these out with scissors out of the wrapping paper. So there's so many options available that you could do. So go ahead and put that in there. And I'm going to put the resin directly on top of these. So remember, the other two they're not stuck in there yet. And I found that it doesn't really matter. Both ways worked. And you can't really tell which ones that were stuck in the resin before. So really, you can do it however you want. When I'm experimenting for the first time, I like to do different things to see what works best. But both of these work just fine. So go ahead and move your resin with the toothpick along the edges. We still don't have this completely filled up. The reason I'm doing this in so many layers is when you're using UV resin in a little bit of a bigger mold like this, your resin can warp because it's a bigger piece and it's heating fast. So I like to do it in layers so that you don't get some warping happening. So we've got that, and we'll put it under the UV light for 2 minutes. And now we're going to do our last layer of resin. Hold on, my children are running around. Girls, please go in the other room. So this is the last layer of resin. And yeah, all my kids, by the way, are on Christmas break. So hopefully I'll be able to record some videos without kids yelling in the background. So this is the top layer of resin. This resin we're going to put all the way to the top of the mold. And for that, this is going to be our final layer. Take your toothpick and bring all those bubbles to the top. But before we cure this, don't cure it yet, we're going to put some gold foil along the edges, and that really just makes it look like a finished professional product. It makes it look really nice. So this is the gold foil I use. They're in these little containers. If you want to know what I used in this video, I have that all linked in my description. So every single thing I've used, I'll link it in my description if you want to know where I got it. And I'm just going to break that in really tiny pieces and then just put it all along the edges. And it turned out really cute. And this can take a little bit because you're breaking them up. And make sure you get it down into the resin too, because if you don't, you'll get little sharp pieces sticking up. And I don't like to sand the resin if I don't have to. So go ahead and put it all along the edges, just like that. Look how pretty they turned out. Put it under the UV light for like 3 minutes and then turn it over. That's really important. If you don't, you need to turn it over and put it under the UV light for 2 or 3 more minutes because that bottom part won't cure. So that what I just showed you, that was one that I accidentally set the UV light on top of when I was curing it, so it made a divot so I couldn't use it. So I'd have to sand it to use it later. So go ahead and make a drill hole with your drill. I really need to get an electric drill because my drill that I have right now is a hand drill and it takes forever. So I really need to invest in that. This is a keychain kit. It's what I use for all the keychains I make because you can make so many just with this one kit and it's really affordable. So I went ahead, this is 2 different kits of the same kit that I've separated so that I can easily get to things. So you have the eye screw, the little jump ring, and then you have the keychain part. So first, after you've drilled with the resin, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your eye screw into the hole you drilled, then put your jump ring in, and then put your keychain in the jump ring. I'm so sorry. I hope you're not hearing my kids screaming in the background. Okay, so then you close this jump ring with the 2 sets of pliers, and then your keychain's complete, and it looks adorable. I love it. It's wrapping paper. You wouldn't even be able to tell that it's wrapping paper, but there's so many possibilities with this because think of all the wrapping paper styles there are out there. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. I've done a whole Christmas, a whole bunch of Christmas ones and a whole bunch of other ones on my channel. So please like and subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, and have a blessed Christmas.